Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 248.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. Before I get started, I wanted to let you know about another awesome podcast called Profit Boss Radio. Profit Boss Radio is hosted by MBA and certified financial planner Hilary Hendershott, who highlights inspiring women who have created success in their financial and professional life. Each week, you can tune in and hear how women have paved the road to sustained success with both beliefs and actions. Check it out at profitbossradio.com. On today's show, we're going to talk about the best diversified equity ETFs. And this comes from Investors Business Daily. They rank them based on a 15-year average annual return as of March 28th, 2017, and they screen them for volume. So meaning the larger ones are going to make it through the screen, and some that are not very frequently traded or widely owned are not going to be in this screen. The large cap ETF started out strong in 2017, but then the small company stocks or small caps came out and have been performing well long term. So things like the iShares S&P Small Cap 600 Growth ETF has gained 10% on average over each of the past 15 years versus only 7% for the S&P 500 Spider. So again, 10% is a big outperformance over 7% percentage-wise, almost 50% more. So you want to include small company stocks in your portfolio. And if I see one mistake that is commonly made, that is it. And it's that small company stocks are left out of people's asset allocation. For some reason, people think they can just buy the S&P 500 and then they've got a fully diversified portfolio. Well, the reason why 500 companies in the S&P is not enough for you is that the Standard & Poor's 500, while it does have the 500 largest companies in the U.S., it is a market cap weighted ETF. So that means that a few companies that are the largest, like Apple, Google, Facebook, etc., are going to be having more weight in the portfolio and will move the portfolio more. It's not an equal weighted index. So the 500 stocks are not equally weighted. That's a totally different ETF. But the S&P 500 ETF is market cap weighted, meaning the larger the company, the more the impact it's going to have on the portfolio. So essentially, you get a handful of very large tech companies really driving the performance of the S&P 500. And that's why you're not diversified enough to just own the S&P 500 ETF. So you need to have some medium companies, what we call mid caps. You need to have some small companies called small caps. And you need to have some international or emerging markets. Those are all equities that are going to give you more diversification. You're going to pick up some extra performance, just like I told you with the small caps, they have outperformed the larger companies. So if you don't have those in your portfolio, you're actually missing out on additional performance that you could be getting by adding small caps to your portfolio. The way that this chart is set up, it's got numbers for not only the 15-year average, but 3 months, 1 year, 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year average annual returns. That's a lot of statistics for me to be reading on the podcast, so I'm going to save you from that. I am going to tell you the ranking of the top 10 by 15-year average, but then I'm going to go back and make some comments based on the shorter term numbers, because I think it's important to also look at what's doing well on a 1, 3, and 5-year basis, not just 15 years, but are they still performing well now? And so I'm going to give you the top 10 on the 15-year basis, then I'll come back and we'll talk about some other things. And again, posting this article on my website at lindapjones.com, podcast 248. So the number one diversified equity ETF on a 15-year basis is the iShares S&P Small Cap 600 Growth, and that is symbol IJT. It has a 10% average annual return for 15 years. Well done. The next is the iShares Russell Midcap, symbol IWR, 15-year average 9.9%. The SPDR S&P 600 Small Cap Value, 15-year average is 9.8%. PowerShares QQQ, symbol QQQ, 15-year average is 9.8%. I believe I didn't give you the symbol on the previous one, the S&P 600 Small Cap Value. That was SLYV. Sorry about that, SLYV. So after the PowerShares QQQ, then the iShares Core S&P Small Cap, IJR, 9.8 as well. iShares Russell Midcap Value, IWS, 9.8 as well. So 4 in a row are 9.8 for 15 years. Then iShares S&P Midcap 400 Value, IJJ, 9.5%. The Vanguard Extended Market, VXF, 15 years at 9.4%. The iShares Core S&P Midcap, IJH, also 9.4%. And the SPDR S&P Midcap 400, MDY, 9.2% for 15 years. There you have the top 10 for 15 years, the best being a 10% average, the, quote, worst of the top 10 being 9.2% average. Not a lot of difference in performance for the 15-year period. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember I said you want to have not only large caps, but also mid caps and small caps. Well, you had the second largest or the second best performer, the iShares Russell. That was a mid cap, IWR, and that was up 9.9%. So now you have the small cap 600 Growth, which was up 10% for 15 years, and the mid cap Russell up 9.9%. So you've got two right there that are top performers for 15 years that are mid and small cap that you could add to your S&P 500 asset allocation. Pretty cool. Well, if you look at the 1, 3, and 5-year averages, what's really interesting is that some of these are so strong on a 1-year basis. The 1-year return for the S&P Small Cap 600 Growth, IJT, that one that's been a great 15-year performer, has also been a phenomenal 1-year performer, up 26.9% in 1 year. Fantastic. In fact, it's been the best performer other than the Russell 2000 Value, which was up 30.4%. That symbol is IWN. That had a great 1-year return. And over 15 years, that didn't make our top 10, but it is an 8.3% average annual returner for 15 years. So it's having a smoking hot 1 year and a pretty decent 15-year average as well. So let's also look at another that has done well on the 1-year basis. The iShares Core S&P Small Cap, IJR, is up 26.6%. for 1 year. Also very strong. Now, let's look at a 3-year and a 5-year average, which is a lot more meaningful than just 1 year, because this indicates a longer-term trend, something more sustainable. And of course, I've already given you the 15-year average, so these already have done well on a 15-year basis, but we're going to just look on the 3 and 5-year, because I think if you have good 3 and 5-year performance and good 15-year performance, that's a real strong indicator that not only has it done well in the long term, but its trend is still applicable today, which sometimes the long-term numbers can look good and the short-term numbers really don't look good, which is really interesting. And then they eventually fall off the top chart. But the ones that have good short-term as well as long-term performance, you want to certainly look at those. So here's an interesting one. The PowerShares QQQ on a 3-year basis up 16%, on a 5-year up 15.5%, and over 15 years right up there, it was number 4 at 9.8%. So, which was actually also tied with the number 3 at 9.8%. So right in there. So the QQQ, of course, are the technology stocks. So you've got good 3, 5, and 15-year performance numbers with that. Really incredibly strong, and in fact, the best of anything on this chart. The 3 and 5-year numbers for the number 1 15-year performer are 10.2% on a 3-year basis and 13.9% on a 5-year basis. So looking really good there on a 3 and 5-year basis for the iShares S&P Small Cap 600 Growth, IJT. So again, our number 1 performer looks great on a 3 and 5-year. So do the QQQs look really strong on a 3 and 5-year. And those are going to be what look like your best performers there. So just wanted to pass that along to you. Really interesting. With the QQQ, I think you could add it as what's called a satellite. So you have your core portfolio, you have your small, mid, large caps, you've got your international and emerging markets, and then maybe you have a little bit of sector funds where either that's your precious metals or your mining stocks, you might have commodities, you might have iShares QQQ would be perfect, or you could have even a single country fund if you want. So you can have different sectors be a little slice of your asset allocation pie, and maybe that's up to a total of 20% of your asset allocation pie, and also real estate could be in there. So you have different sectors that you can add in there that can kind of spice up your portfolio a little bit. And those would be things that are good performers, maybe in the shorter term, or they're just starting to outperform, or there's something that you think has a lot of potential for the future, or you just like that sector. So there's a lot of different things that you could add in that little 20% slice of the pie, but PowerShares QQQ might be an interesting addition there. So I just wanted to give you all of that information. Again, I'm going to post it on my website so you can see it. I know it's hard to hear all these numbers in your ear, but really great information here that IBD always presents to us. And so I want to encourage you to take a look at the website as well and check it out yourself. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, please hit subscribe so you'll get all of the episodes as soon as they're published. And if you haven't yet left a review for the show on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, I so appreciate it. We're coming up on our anniversary in a few weeks, and I would love to have a review from you and hear what you think of the show and any suggestions you have, perhaps. So tell me what you like and what you think I can do better. I'm open to suggestion always. And if you're looking to move your net worth in the right direction, go to my website at lindapjones.com. Get my special report. It's called 11 Quick Financial Tips to Boost Your Wealth. There are 11 quick, simple things you can do to get your wealth building moving in the right direction. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.